Hi, welcome everybody, and thank you for having us all here. I'm absolutely delighted because one of my closest friends, Evan, decided to take a red eye in to join us tonight and share a little bit about what the Grammys is doing. So, as the CMO of Web Trends, obviously we're seeing, as some of the data showed earlier today, that there's a dramatic shift from the CIO to the CMO, and the CMO is really looking for tools to make their campaigns easy, intuitive, and most importantly, deliver on ROI. So I've invited some incredible guests here to join us and show you, not tell you, what they're doing and why we find some of the work to be so intriguing. Personally, I have favorite brands at Web Trends, from Burberry and Fandango to Zinio, and of course the Grammys. So Evan, why don't you share with us a little more context to what we just shared or just saw?
Well, is this on? Can people hear me? I don't know if...
It's on
there
now.
we go.
Yeah.
I think I was sitting on the button. What you guys saw was our campaign for the 52nd Annual Grammy Awards, which was we're just about to go into our season for the 54th. And the reason that campaign was really a turning point for us is that as we were trying to figure out what we were going to do and what we were going to communicate, we kind of flipped the model 180 degrees. And what traditionally happens is you come up with, as I'm sure many of you are aware of, you come up with an idea and then you try and figure out how to fit a digital extension into it. And we came up with an idea that we thought was really powerful, right? It's, we asked ourselves, what makes an artist a celebrity? What makes a celebrity an icon? And the answer was fans. Fans make artists celebrities. Fans are the ones that drive popular culture. Not only are consumers fans of artists, but artists are fans of other artists. So when we came up with that kind of universal truth, we started to build a campaign around the concept of fans. And so we started from the digital piece. We started from really creating this thing from the inside out and it was the first campaign that was ever constructed 100% out of social media components that were opted in and uploaded by fans and consumers. And what we saw was something, it was amazing. And I know, we're a little bit tight on time, so I don't have the opportunity to give you a whole case study. But what we found was that it dramatically increased engagement. It changed our sentiment in a lot of pockets where we were very, very weak. It created a deeper connection and a relevance and a resonance. And I'll just share a quick anecdote with you. The Lady Gaga spot that you just saw was finished and completed about 3 days before we were going to have any opportunity to get it on CBS's airwaves. So we decided that we were going to break it online. We let Lady Gaga break it. And for a relatively, at the time, conservative, traditional organization like the Grammys, to break our advertising online was a big departure. Well, what happened was that nobody knew who was going to be in the spot. And as soon as they started to see this spot, they saw themselves in an official piece of Grammy advertising. So they started tweeting about it, posting about it, linking to it, blogging, and all of a sudden, we broke the counter on YouTube because so many people were flooding to this thing. So to create that kind of engagement for us was really tremendous. And the final thing that I'll say is that, there's a lot more stories to this campaign, but the final thing that I'll say is the number that's most gratifying to me is that for teens and young adults, we were up over 32%, which says that we found a way to mobilize them to TV either with or without their devices, but we found a way to become more relevant and more credible. And since then, digital has become a deeply integrated part of our DNA and everything that we do.
I'm curious because at Web Trends, again, what we found is Facebook has really changed things dramatically. We have a number of different products that specifically target Facebook because we feel like that in some way is similar to what email targeting was a few years ago, in that those lists really are just the beginning of the campaign. So I'm curious, what are you doing, or what have you found to be maybe uber successful as far as your Facebook outreach?
Well, for us, Facebook really gives us an opportunity to have a daily, two-way, respectful, interactive dialogue with our social ecosystem. And what it does is it starts to change perception. Starts to change perception about who we are, what we do, what the Grammys are, what the Recording Academy stands for. And we're creating a group or a team of evangelists. Nowadays, it's really all about two things, right? It's about discovery and community. And the more information that we can, the more unique information that we can feed to our social ecosystem about what we do and how we do it, creates a deeper level of alignment. And if I tell you, or if we tell you how cool the Grammys are, you're gonna tune us out and you're gonna unfollow us in 2 seconds. But if people that you trust, if your friends, fans, and followers are telling you how cool the Grammys are and that you should think about it and that you should check it out, you're probably apt to listen a little bit more. And so what Facebook really helps us to do is deepen that relationship with our audience.
You know, I'm curious because with celebrity, obviously, it appears to be maybe a little easier to kind of leverage it both across social networks, but Zinio has done an incredible job, and really, I don't know if you're familiar with Zinio. I certainly am and in love with them, but you know, they really, in some way, are looking at the everyday brand and how to amplify the success there. So for those of you that are not familiar with Zinio, it is the most popular newsstand, digital newsstand in the world. It's delicious from a standpoint of having 5,000 covers that they're able to showcase. And I just wanted Zinio to tell us a little bit about how in the world do you build a brand when you don't have Lady Gaga or you know, Black Eyed Peas, and you're able to kind of create that same level of notoriety?
It's a great question, and there's so many ways to answer it because we are fortunate enough to have Lady Gaga on our covers, but the covers and the content have to be created. I think the best way to describe it and start is to show you a video. So if you want to roll the clip. This is a clip for our recent 2.0 app, and what we were looking for was for a unique way to communicate to people who hadn't really understood what's inside of a digital magazine company and digital publications. What features and benefits can you take advantage of as a consumer who wants more? So hopefully you'll find some insights here and a little bit of inspiration for what it means when you can go beyond just sharing a piece of content in print by handing it to somebody and taking it to the iPad or the Android tablet. And what we've seen at Zinio, which is fascinating, is it's such an early time for digital reading, even though we've been around for 11 years. It's the consumer is just figuring this stuff out. So we see this as such an opportunity to grow and to really expand in a powerful way.
Well, you know, I'm curious because I've always wondered, you know, what makes something hot, what makes a brand immediately catch fire. And so I'm curious, there's such a fine line between maybe extraordinary and mediocrity, and it comes down to the connection to the customer. So how do you get in there and how do you mix it up and make it happen?
It's a great question. I think, you know, one of the things that Zinio strives to do that's very different than a lot of other companies that are out there with digital content is really to make a connection with the customer. And we spend a good bit of time looking behind the scenes, certainly using web trends for analytics, at what people are doing. What pages are people looking at? How long are they spending? How are they engaging? Are they looking in portrait? Are they looking in landscape? Are they spending time playing videos 17 times? Are they still browsing through table of contents? But then we also spend time talking to a lot of customers and finding out what makes sense to them. And one of our most recent but powerful insights that generated our ideas to build our 2.0 app was people love to explore content that they love. They love to get beyond the covers. They love to find surfing content that they love, or Lady Gaga material that could be across 180 different magazines, 170 that you've never heard of before. So we find it's very important to really build a relationship with the customer, understand what brings emotion to life with them, and serve that to them through the magazines in new and innovative ways.
So I know, I'm delighted that Raul has joined us. We met at the Emmys because, again, Zinio's involved in the live magazine and some of the interactive advertising, and then, of course, WebTrends measures quite a bit of that. So can you share a little bit, like what you did at the Emmys and how Raul became part of this?
Yeah,
I think it's fascinating.
Absolutely. So there's the Zinio side of the house with the 5,000 magazines, 200,000 titles and covers. And then there's the VivMag side of the house. The owner owns 2 different companies. And we put our money where our mouth is with VivMag, which is an all-digital lifestyle magazine for women with 350,000 readers. What we do there is we intentionally push the envelope from a design perspective, from an engagement perspective, and we take what you think would be standard and try and make it extraordinary. See if it works, and if it does, share that with all of our Zinio publishers. And so Raul Penaranda is a designer that we found with VivMag, and we found a phenomenal line that we had. And we looked at this line of clothing and thought, it's gorgeous to be shot. I'm wearing one of his outfits right now, so I'm very grateful for that. And we thought about how could we do something that goes beyond just the standard photo shoot in a magazine. So what we did was we created a video called Frill Seekers that lived inside the magazine, and it also lived outside the magazine on YouTube.
So should we take a look?
I think we should.
Let's go. It's curious to me because, again, we have so many different customers, and like the gentleman prior, at the end of the day, it's not just return on social investment, but it's return on your business investment. Is this kind of the new digitorial? So is it a living, breathing catalog that sits inside the ad when you're looking at a magazine? How does that work specifically?
Yeah, it's a great word, digitorial. I think that is perfect to describe what it is, because in that video, there were 62 items of clothing or accessories. In the magazine, we allowed you to zoom in and get information about each one of those items and pieces, and not only explore it in more detail, but purchase it. In that video, which lived out on the YouTube, what we were looking for were people who were fashionistas, were people who were Harlequin romance fans, were people who could just move closer to the brand. And it's a digitorial in its own way that tells its own story. It lives outside the magazine, and I think, I'm speaking for Raul, and we'll let you speak, but I think it's such a new and innovative way to think about a standard product and understand how to build relationships and connections.
To me, that is the connection that maybe we were missing in the last session, just thinking of how you take that social attachment, that community, that engagement, and immediately turn it into a business solution and a business success. So when I was at the Emmys and I saw what you guys did, I was absolutely blown away. And just the level of behind the scenes, watching from behind the scenes the show, and then being able to look at the dresses, know where some of the accessories were, and if you had $1 million, buy some of the jewels. So maybe you could share with us, Raul, a little bit about how you found Jenny, because I thought that was pretty incredible, and then the two of you just take it away.
Sure. My name is Raul Peñaranda. I'm basically a happy camper, and I'm a stalker. Happy camper because I'm living basically the dream of my life, and a stalker because I know about Zinio magazine, and through Twitter, I said, let me send her just a picture that can speak for 1,000 words through my product, and I did that. And in like 2 days, we started getting in contact. She came for fitting to the Emmys, and I'm telling you that is the most powerful tool that at least, like in my case, new companies can use to share your product with the world. So I'm very excited, happy, and thrilled to be part of this.
Tell me what the tattoo is on your arm.
Well, this little tattoo is basically, once I was picked and selected to be one of the 10 designers to show in New York Fashion Week, is my mom's wisdom words. Dream, vision, reality. Dream because she said, We coming from a poor family, nobody tells you that you can not dream. Make that into a vision, but then you have to be a man enough to make that vision into the reality. And that's the reality I'm living with everybody here. And to give you, I don't know, a little bit of taste of what we have beautiful models that can show you a little bit of what Raul Peñaranda is all about. So let's start the show. So, there you go. There you go. And it's basically, you know what? And these three pieces is basically, I believe, as a designer, that fashion is an extension of people's personalities, and this is an example of that. So
I was amazed. Jeannie reached out to me and she said, just join us at the Emmys. And I met this guy last week, and his stuff is great, and he's coming with us.
Me.
And let's just make it happen. And I have to tell you, we were together for 2 days, and I think Nina Garcia now is coming to your studio.
absolutely,
so, I mean,
absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
And it was the cast of Dexter. I mean, it happened so fast. It was creating that social elevation, that engagement, making sure the quality of the product was there and it was available, making sure that there was that credibility around Fashion Week, and then, of course, integrating him with the folks at the Emmys. Anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I just love how in today's society we take a brand and we take what we know as a norm and then we just blow it out of the water and we think of new ways to approach it. And we really did have a great time at the Emmys introducing, and it's amazing because here at this conference, a B2B conference, we're talking about fashion and we have live models. I mean, it's a new way to connect and it's a new way to really get the word out from a social perspective. And when you look at this customer-led and user-led conversation, I mean, I think a lot of what Evan said, you know, what the Grammys rings true. We can tell you all day long how amazing Zinio or Viv or Web Trends or the Grammys or Raul is, but it's going to be up to all of you in the conversation after that's really going to carry our message home.
You know, and I would say, you know, it's interesting because, you know, prior to being at Web Trends, I was at THX and some other kind of tasty brands doing some delicious creative and content, more in the digital entertainment space. And I just want to make sure that as marketers, we don't forget that first and foremost, we're marketers, right? We have tools that are available, and obviously as an analytics company, it's very important for us to make sure that the businesses are successful. But I don't want the tools to do the speaking. I want the quality of the creative to really carry you. And I think this is a great example of just how fast it can happen. So
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us today.
Thank you.